Next video, I'm going to go from creating my vocal line rhythm to now creating my actual melody. So from the last video, you would have had the following. You've got all of your developed chord progressions. You should have in a beat, and you should also have in this part of your melody, which should sound something like this. It will just be a single note on a rhythm that lines up with your lyrics. Let's listen to that on mine. So it's quite boring, but we're gonna get there. Let's listen to what you're going to have by the end of this. This is my verse 1 now with some notes in it, so it's starting to sound more like a melody. So this is actually something that somebody could sing. So how did I get from this, which was quite boring, to this that sounds like a melody? Well, we're not going to use the piano to do that. We're going to record in with the piano roll. So I'm going to show you how to do that on my second part of my melody here. My verse should be between 8 and 16 bars long, and mine for my song is going to be 16 bars long. So I've done the first half, and now I need to do the second half. But I'm going to show this to you as if it was the first half, and then talk about the principles for the second half of a verse. So I'm going to double click to open up my piano roll, where I'm going to see here that right now I have all of these notes on the note C. It's very boring. It's not a melody. To make this into a melody, we are going to be moving our notes into either the notes C, D, F, G, or A. That doesn't mean that we're only restricted to using these notes C, D, F, G, and A. Remember that you can also descend or go even higher. You could go to this high C up here. You could go down to an A, down to a G, down to an F, so that you're extending your vocalist's range, which will help you to get more marks. A really good principle is to make sure that you're mostly moving in stepwise motion with some repetition. What you don't want to do is this. Go C, then on this little short note, go C, A, C, D, F, etc., because it's going to sound quite disjointed. Let's listen. Let's listen a little back so you can hear how it does sound. It kind of doesn't sound like anything. So we want to make sure that we've got some amount of repetition. In my previous example, what I've done here is I've done C, D, D, C, C, and then I've done a leap up to an F to get myself up to some higher notes. So in this case, I'm going to pretend that I haven't done this before, and maybe I'm going to do C, 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 D, C, C, A, G, A. Let's listen to how that sounds. So this time I've decided to do a sort of descending arc instead of an ascending one. Let's have a listen to my new melody. And remember, this is a bit of trial and error. If you don't like it, redo it. I quite like that. It's hard to hear though. So if it's hard to hear, just move it up an octave. The way to do that is to click into the grid, press Command A, and drag this C, which I can see says C3, all the way up to C4. Should be easier to hear now. Let's listen one more time. Sounds pretty good. Then I'm going to keep going. So maybe this one here, I'm going to actually go up these 3 notes. Maybe up to an F, I'm going to have a really massive leap. Dun, 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 dun. I wasn't sure if I've dragged that actually correctly, so I'm just going to undo and look again. Let's have a listen, see if this works. It's okay. I like the leap, but actually it clashed with my chords quite badly. So if that happens to you, this F didn't work. So let's have a look at my chords. And if I go into my chord, this was at the start of bar 11. So let's look at my chord in bar 11. I can see I have the notes G, C, and E. So I don't want it to be an F because it's going to make a big clashing sound. So maybe I'm going to move these up to a G. And these ones down to an F. And see how that sounds. Let's listen again to see if I like that a little bit better. Don't like this so much. So again, I'm just going to change it until I like how the sound is. Yeah, I like how that sounds with that D there. So the reason that we're only using the notes C, D, F, G, and A is because we can pretty much guarantee that most of them are going to sound good with our chords. And if they don't, it's easy to adjust. I'm going to finish up the rest of my melody here. Once it's finished, I might actually find that then I want to go back and switch up a couple of things. Maybe I want to then add in what's called a passing note. A passing note can be outside of your C, D, F, G, and A. I might find that I've got these repeated notes here, and maybe instead of that F, I want to have a G up there. Dun, da, 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 da. Let's listen. Might sound a bit more interesting. Adding some extra interest. And I could do the same thing here if I so desired, but I quite like those two Ds together. The last important thing that you need to remember is that when you do your chorus should be really, really super memorable and more repetitive. My verse has lots of movement in it, but when I go back and do my chorus in exactly the same way, you should have more repetition, potentially even having the same thing 3 times before you change it. Just like your chorus lyrics might have had the same thing 3 times before you changed it, do the same thing with the notes. Once you finish with all of your verses and choruses, that means that you should have at least 2 verses, if not 3. You should have a chorus, potentially a pre-chorus. Then you can move on to the next video where we look at how to arrange our song. Good luck.